Good afternoon, everybody. It's Trade Formula doing a quick rundown on XRP. Now, currently we're looking at the 1 minute chart, which I realize that this is a little too close for a lot of you doing analysis, but I thought this was very interesting. We saw this big boost both with Bitcoin as well as XRP earlier on today in a relatively short period of time, a dip, and when the stochastic was starting to get kind of close to oversold, not really kind of in the middle, it punched up again. We now see this sort of, let's call it a flag, I think is a pretty accurate way of saying it. Starting around here, we're starting to make lower highs and lower lows. We kind of touched this range of consolidation earlier on today, around 10 a.m. Central Time, and now it's really this battle of bulls and bears, and this is interesting. I saw this mild trend kind of establishing, pulling it out, but now we've broken that. So now we're kind of in this middle ground, which is neither, it's really kind of unpredictable. Is it going to be bullish or bearish? I had thought that if we push up enough, and we saw it in this candle here about, 10 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, that it could be plausible. That's an interesting battle we'll kind of come back to in about 5 minutes. First, let's actually look at the 4-hour chart, and I'll pull it out a little bit as I think there's some interesting things happening. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, and I'm going to scroll way out so that we can see what's happening here, you know that I've drawn a comparison between this period right here and this period right here. It's just a little more stretched out, but what's significant about this, it was the first time each of these periods that we broke the previous resistance, right? Bang, we broke out of it. That's what sort of began this process of sell-off. It has its own individual kind of trend line, let's say. It broke it there and began a path upwards. Well, that same thing happened just recently. It broke through the trend line and, I believe is making a path upwards. Now, here's the interesting thing. This little hole, this little pocket right here, after the lowest low, pushes upwards, comes down, finds new support. I've been looking for this for about the past 2 weeks. Well, guess what? We have it right here. This is exactly that same pattern. Do you see that right there? Lowest low, comes up, makes a little pocket right here. This is very interesting to me. Also, this trajectory, this red dotted line is very similar to this dotted line right here. And sorry, that's a solid line. Let's make it a dotted line so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. Trajectory is very similar, as you can see. Now, I put this support right on what I anticipate based on today's actions as the lowest low of the time period moving forward, right? So the last time this happened, when we found that support previously, and I'm going to scroll way back out, it began the process of rebuilding to get back to the previous high of that sequence, right? And this is something I've talked about in previous videos too. We made this large kind of V, as you can see. Now, this particular one lasted from peak to peak. What was that? August. What was the date there? 23rd of August, roughly, to about the 16th of October. So I would anticipate that this could be similar from this time period. Was that 21st of September? And then, if we look at the 15th of December, so what's that put us at? Right about here. Round about that area that it could peak back up again. Or, obviously we could follow this as well. That's probably a little bit better now that we're thinking it through in more detail. So that puts us at the very end of February, which I think is plausible. So let's check and see where we're at on the 1 minute and how that's going for us. See if it's abiding by these lines that I've drawn in or where it's at. It looks like it might be breaking it. Bearish, come on, computer. It definitely fell from it, so I'd say this is no longer really valid. I could see it kind of coming up to this line of resistance from previously, and then falling back to the 36 cent level roughly, about that. I think that'd be plausible. We'll see what happens. I think ultimately, let's pull it out one more time. I think ultimately it's not a buy right now for me if you're not in it. It's definitely not a buy. I would say look for some retracement back to this level if you're looking for something strategic to get into. Now, it's possible that this is just simply a flag and it's going to push up from there. That's certainly possible. I don't know, but I would anticipate that it's probably going to go sideways for a little bit. Maybe it'll hit this, and move up from there. You never know with XRP. It's pretty volatile and hard to anticipate. But anyway, I think it also could channel in here a little bit, as we have done previously. And then on the other hand, you also could see this like sort of, I don't know, is it a head and shoulders? Not really, and just return down to the 28 cent mark. So I mean, it's really kind of up in the air right now, and it's very unpredictable, extremely volatile. So I don't know, but what I do anticipate to be the case within this framework, and it's pretty broad, I really don't know what the individual movements are going to look like, but what I would say is a definite buy is right here. And unless there's a lot of momentum pushing it upwards, a sell would be around here, as the market tries to decide what it's going to do. On the smaller movements, I do believe it is going to break bullish out of this as it has done previously, which we've discussed in great detail. Now, the only caveat that would be, unique about this that would change it is if we broke this line of resistance right here, which I just don't see happening. I believe that with 1, 2, 3 touches and some bullish movement within that, I'd be a little surprised if we fell the entire way back down to say 28 to 30 cents. But hey, anything's possible. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we're pushing up just a little bit. Didn't quite follow the line I had there earlier, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But it will be interesting to see if it does touch 37.25 cents or so and falls back down from that. If we start to see a channel build up, and then there's also the possibility, I think this would be plausible, of taking this low of the period and drawing a pennant right there as well. We'll see. This would be something to monitor, and I hope you guys enjoy the video.